Journaling to resolve conflict with another. This practice is to identify what we're facing. Each conflict has a core issue that is layered in thoughts, feelings, emotions, and the aim here in this journaling practice is to peel back those layers and reflect why the conflict has happened. Let's begin. We'll just dive straight in. We've got 4 questions. My notes are just done there, so I'm looking down. 4 questions, 3 minutes each. I'm organized, I've got everything ready. Remember, this is your practice, so pause and keep writing whenever you need to. This is the time for you to deep dive as much as you need to. I'm repeating myself. Okay, let's set up for the first question. I have been dealing with a conflict myself, so I'm interested to see what comes up. So, first question, 3 minutes. Why did I react the way that I did? Because I was pissed. But I'll say something a little bit more constructive than that. So for me personally, I tend to want to avoid conflict in general. And so when there is conflict with someone, if I can't speak it out in an easy and gentle way, I will avoid them, which is not healthy. I'm not pretending like that's a good way to approach this or deal with this, but I'm still learning how to be in conflict with people. And so this is why journaling is really good. It allows me to connect with how I'm feeling and what happened. And in this case, this first question, why I reacted the way that I did. We've got 40 seconds left. So in my case, with the conflict, I've just created a lot of distance with that person because even though we did talk about what happened, I didn't feel like I was understood or that even my experience was accepted. It was just I felt like I was denied my experience, and so that conflict still exists. Okay. Whew. They're not always that easy, are they? Right, so next question. What raw emotions came to the surface? 3 minutes. And it's really good, I'm starting the timer now, so start writing. But it's really good to get really detailed and honest with yourself here, because often with these negative emotions, we like to sort of shove them under the carpet, avoid them, deny them, not deal with them, but actually it's okay. So for me, for example, so much resentment, anger. Actually, I kind of went through a phase. At first I was really, really sad, and there was this grief. And then once the grief had passed, so much anger. And now that I've processed the anger, just sort of honing in on the details of what happened and how I experienced it and what I'm learning, and so on and so on. Anyway, so the raw emotions were grief, anger, resentment. There's more. I'm going to write them down. We've got less than a minute left, so maybe you finished writing, maybe you have some more emotions, but again, I'll really write what came up for you, how you felt, because that's how we process it. Okay, whew. Okay, number 3. I said it twice because I'm still processing what I was feeling. Clearly, I need this journaling practice today as much as maybe you do as well. Question 3. How did I experience that person's behavior or the situation? So what was my experience of this conflict? Ready? Let's begin. In my circumstances, sometimes there's misunderstandings and sometimes there's different ways of approaching things and dealing with things, and I always like to give people, you give people a benefit of the doubt. I really do believe everyone is doing the best that they can. However, I'm a huge believer, and it's something that I practice. It's not just something that I speak about, but something that I really practice, and I find women tend to practice in general, is taking responsibility for our part. And so often women also tend to be over responsible, so we take too much responsibility and we take responsibility for our part and the other person's. And I've been working really hard on not doing that anymore, because I used to do that a lot. And in this case, I did not take responsibility for that other person at all, and they also didn't take responsibility for their part in the conflict that happened. In fact, completely shirked responsibility and tried to bypass it. And that's why the conflict still exists. If we'd had the conversation of them being like, you know what, I'm so sorry, and I said, you know what, I'm so sorry for the bits that were my part, and the other person didn't. And so now I'm like, how do I deal with this? If if we don't meet each other halfway. And so it's really good to write about what my experience was, so I can get some clarity around what I need to let go of and what I need to how I can process it, or at least just let it be. Like, okay, this is what happened. Now I'm really clear on that and I can let it be. That's the aim. So we've got 30 seconds left. Danger, do you mind? All right, well done. One more question, last one. Why did I feel these emotions and experience the conflict in this way? And this is where I take responsibility for myself. So I'm going to start. I know that some of the conflict triggered some of my own personal wounding, and we all have this kind of wounding in different ways and different circumstances. And so for me, there was this fear of abandonment and this fear of rejection that was triggered by the situation and by what happened. And are you comfortable? And that brought up so much emotion for me, and I responded to the conflict in a really strong way because of the trigger. And so again, this is my responsibility, it's my part, I get to own that. I also owned that when we had a conversation in, like, within the conflict, because I feel like it's not fully resolved, it's just like something that needs to dissipate now. And yeah, it's been really interesting to see how there's this very fascinating interplay that happened between us, and I almost feel like it's karmic. It was like we had this really intense friendship, and we both triggered so much in each other because we are each other's teachers, or at least that's the way that I perceive it. And as I'm writing, I'm really clear on the fact that this was quite a karmic circumstance. There's no way we could have avoided it. It was just something that we both have to go through and process and figure out, and each other are the catalyst for it. And so it's an invitation our souls have given us to work through some of this deep wounding and bring it to the surface so we can look at it. And that, at least that's how I perceive it. You know, the other person, that's not my business, not my job. I love that saying. What is it? Not my circus, not my monkey. It's a Polish one, but basically it means it's none of my business. But like, you know, what is my business is my part, like how I react, how I respond, how I process it, how I move through it, how I learn from it, and how I heal from it. Yeah, okay. We've got 30 seconds left. Wow. Well, I hope that was supportive in your own process in resolving a conflict with another. As always, I like to leave you with a magical bonus question, and today's magical bonus question is, what did I learn? This is a really good one because all conflicts have something to teach us, and when we learn something new, we know how to react and respond in a different way next time, because it's not that we're going to be able to avoid conflict forever, though I would love to, obviously, but we have to find ways to deal with it that are healthy and allow us to keep our hearts and minds open when we're interacting with people, because relationships will bring conflict. It's just part and parcel of the human experience. All right, enjoy your last magical question, and I'll speak with you again soon.